crawl into the underworld. Afterlife, on a beach protect you. And the light, goddess of the sun, brings you life. A deity, best it is her name. Come learn the ways of man, become one with the sand. The fate is in your hands. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Come to the earth, chasing your mark. Get like mystical formation. Turn on the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this is war. In the dark, a river flows. The Nile is so big power. A morning star is seen in our side. In the light, find your desert altar and your shrine. Look for peace, defeat the enemy. Run to the obelisk, defend this legacy. Fly to your destiny. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Come to the earth, chasing your mark. Get like mystical formation. Turn on the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this. We rise, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. We rise up. We're the kings, we're the queens. We're the gods, gods to solve this animation. Turn on the walls, make it our mark. 'Cause we're the kings, we're the queens. Let's win this war.
What is going on? Governor's Chiscool here, and today I'm joined by Brian to cast an exciting Ark of Osiris. Wow, we're in the semifinals already. Good morning, how are you, and how you feeling about today's matches?
Chisco, good morning to you as well. Good morning to everybody watching, and great to be here. We are in the semifinals. We are one step away from, crowning a champion in all four realms of the Osiris League. And I think we've got a very good match here between 17C and 27WP in the youngest of all the realms, the realm of Sobek.
The youngest of all the realms. We don't get to spend a lot of time here, but it is kind of fun to drop in because it'll give you some nostalgia for the early game. So we were talking before the cast, and you were mentioning that as it turns out, we think these guys are going to have pretty much just the early commanders.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to have the early commanders based on the replays I looked at of the last couple weeks. That said, these two teams are now in Season of Conquest. Both of these teams, 17C and 27WP, are in their first Season of Conquest KBK, or one team, 17C WP is in Heroic Anthem. They're literally in Heroic Anthem right now. 17C is in the off-season waiting to play their first Heroic Anthem. But I think we are going to just see the old school commanders, the original game, the original balance that sort of brought many of us to Rise of Kingdoms. And I don't know about you, Chiz, but that's exciting for me to watch.
It definitely is, and I don't know who's going to win. So we've got a poll up and running for the channel now where you can vote to see which team you think is going to win the match. 64% currently weighing in for 17C. Here's the thing. When I look at the win record for both of these teams, they have a 100% win rate. 10 wins, no losses in this Osiris League so far. We look at the average score, which is maybe not the best gauge, but we're looking at 66,000 to both of them, 66,000. So this is looking like it could be a pretty contentious match potentially.
Yeah, I did not bet on this match, but last week we did throw you a bit of an upset special pregame on 34AC, and I'm going to throw another upset special on this one with a prediction that 27WP wins this match. 27WP is a primarily Korean kingdom. I took a look at I sort of did like the typical KVK scouting you do when you have a new enemy or a new campmate. And, their officer core has very, very good stats, a lot of power, 10 billion plus KP on many of their officers. And they all have very similar player IDs that are sort of in that 3-digit, number 3 first player ID digit, which is like the, when the game released in Korea, Kingdom 1500 to 1600 type era. A lot of their officers have very similar player IDs. So it sort of feels like a group that's been around together for a long time, migrated back, but 27P looks very strong. On the other hand, 17C, they are the team that 2 weeks ago beat 3281, which is Baba TC Ataturks and Ekram's very well-known Young Kingdom.
And 17C is favored with those Oryx. So, in terms of where players think the action's going to be, the prize pool is 167 million Oryx on the 17C side versus 85 million Oryx on the 27WP side. So, as you're suggesting here, you think that an upset is likely today?
It just feels that way just based on looking at those officers for 27WP, just based on the fact that, they've both had similar success in this Osiris League. Like you said, their margin of victory is very, very similar. And just feeling like these look like very, very good players running the show in 27WP. That's to take nothing away from 17C, who has had a great season. And of the two teams, they are actually the only one who has a star. These are two kingdoms that have both played 3 KVKs, and between the two of them, there's only 1 star. And that's on the 17C side.
Well, in just a moment, I'll be able to pull up the match for us to join. The matches are on, I believe it's about a 5-minute delay for spectating, which is great, by the way. Last season, we did a much longer delay just to kind of make sure that it's not going to reveal anything with the sentries. So in just a moment, I'll be able to jump in, working on that now, and we'll see who wins here. They're now in the 3-minute entry window where they join the match. All right, here we go. Let's jump into the match. Full screen here.
Everybody's teleporting in very quickly in this match. Not the same disciplined, regimented teleports that we sometimes see in the older realms. Everybody was like, I want the front row seat, please.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, like we almost always see in the older realms, a teleport order. I mean, if you're on a serious team in an older realm, people micromanage this all the way down to who's going to be where. And the reason you do that is that you want your folks that are going to go get the structures at the start to be toward the front. You want the folks that are joining rallies to all be near each other. Because believe it or not, you can have your cities far enough away that you miss that 1-minute window for sending that rally, and you can end up delaying it, which is a bit of a yikes.
Absolutely. And as you pointed out last week, Chiz, they have the new formation in the game. Remind me of the name of it. Strategic something?
I believe it is the staggered formation.
The staggered formation. And we did see a bit of it last week. And, now everybody's sort of internalizing that. Staggered formation is in. Let's tell our players to look for it on all their farms. And very, very useful formation here in Ark of Osiris for sure.
I mean, who doesn't want that 15% march speed on your way to a structure? It's almost like it's made for Ark, for people reinforcing buildings.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly in Ark of Osiris, you have some players who fight in the open field. You have other players who are specifically allocated to filling buildings and filling rallies. And so it's nice to give that sort of customization to player styles.
Here we go. The battle begins. T1's flying out there. Energetic in use for 27. But not. There it is. 17C also activating energetic. We've got those new icons in dot mode, making it good spectating here for Ark of Osiris. Look to the other side. And there they go. So...
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Oh, well, 27WP dropping a sentry ward right outside the gate of the blue team. So an interesting sentry ward, not one you see a ton of, but there's going to get a sense right off the bat of how many players are going in each direction for 17C. But then they're not going to get a whole lot of information from that ward afterwards. They're just going to kind of see, all right, where's everybody going? And then blue will be back in the dark.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool to see, like, okay, which way are you headed? Other sentries down here as well. Looking at the Shrine of War. We can get a peek around the map, find these sentries. But I do really
contact on the top. With the wards.
Oh. They've both got them here. Halfway between the Shrine of Life and the Desert Altar. In fact, they probably even have vision of each other. They'll probably be able to knock those out. I would anticipate no funny business at the start of this match, right? Like standard openers, no obelisk shenanigans, just clean entries, fights at the altars, and then a push to middle.
Yeah, in fact, I'm looking at 17C on the bottom end, grabbing their own obelisk. We had a Lancelot grab the obelisk there, and Lancelot just walking home, instead of going forward and doing some other things. It's just going home. Although the 17C does have a full 300k double C marching down the field and could potentially harass some things.
I love these commanders, by the way. I mean, you've got, even El Cid, Minamoto, Charles Martel's all over this field, Alexander the Great, Richard Thutmose, Khan, Belisarius, not Prime. Let's go. Oh, yeah, this is going to be a match right here. Double C as well.
I was watching the replay of 17C playing against Baba's team, and I literally saw Baba walking to mid with a Sun Tzu primary. And I'm just like, where do you ever get to see this?
Yeah, that is unusual. A rare sighting indeed. Well,
but, yeah, I mean, this was like a really good game, right? Like, these commanders are just so well balanced, and I know they've added a few new ones like Thutmose, and who else? Pyrrhus. But my sense is that the game is still pretty similar, right?
I think that's probably right. I mean, when I was in KVK2, we were using Khan, and we were using Edward of Woodstock with Song. The oldies, but goodies. Khan Double C was actually, back in my day, Khan Double C was a scary rally, man. They hit you with that, and it was like, what am I supposed to even do? These days, you have better options, I think, for both rally and garrison. Speaking of which, Alexander the Great Charles Martel rally cruising on by the Desert Altar. Fight is starting at the Northern Desert Altar. Looking to see what they do here.
Red team going very light on the outside lane on the top, but going very heavy on the outside lane on the bottom. Kind of an interesting development just because they're on their side of the map. They're going to defend first, but then they're going to have a very big ball on the outside, and it looks very promising for them. Like, if they just decide to push forward to the blue team Sky Altar, then they certainly have the numbers to take that right off the bat.
It looks like that's exactly what they're doing, is kind of stalling in the middle and then pushing the buildings on the outside. Even toward this desert altar, we do see the troops swing up to the north, but the folks in blue do have vision of that. 17C. They know that they're on the way because that sentry placement is really outstanding. So here's the action, zooming on in. We're trying to snipe some of those marches on their way up. There'll be a little bit of a tussle, but in 10 seconds this thing opens. I'm surprised none of them are positioning next to the structure. They assume blue must have folks there, but nobody's there.
Yeah, and there is a Wu Zetian in the field for red team. So the Wu was headed to that desert altar. The desert altar was sort of an unpromising attack for WP. And the Wu, with the rest of her teammates, did rotate up top to try to take this Shrine of Life. And if they can get the Wu in there, that's, pretty good mixed, as we talk about mixed garrisons in Osiris League, Wu Zetian is a pretty good early game mixed garrison as far as things go.
You don't get to see that one in the garrison every day, but you'll love to see it. However, Minamoto is what's in the garrison. Oh, the Wu is there. She doesn't get in. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Not like this.
Yeah. I mean, imagine you max Wu Zetian and she doesn't even get into the garrison. Bit of a yikes.
She's alive, though. And if I'm not mistaken, Red does have the numbers advantage here at this Shrine of Light, so she might have a second shot.
It is possible. They'll have to live to get there. Oh, man. Ethel with Barca. What a combo.
We do see a couple of commanders in this early game Osiris League that we do also still see in Season of Conquest. We see Ethelfleds in Season of Conquest, and I think what we're going to see later today, Chisgo, also is we're going to see more and more Alexander the Greats. Alexander the Great has gotten a rebirth in this game with the introduction of Lucci, where you can build Alex in the early game. You can use him very effectively in early KVKs and in Sobek Osiris League, as we're seeing here. And then once you get to Season of Conquest, you pair that Alex with Lucci, and you have one of the best marches in the game.
Yeah, Alexander the Great is certainly a strong commander, especially with the new museum buff. He's got a surge of relevance again. But, I mean, I still feel like one infantry march is the play. And if you're bringing one infantry march, I'd rather have the Skippy than the Alex.
If you bring one infantry march, if you do. But, let's just think about the Osiris League template, right? Which is like 3 cav, and when you have 3 cav, you're using like XY as one of your 3 cavalry marches. Wouldn't you rather have the second infantry march rather than have an XY something out there, an XY Justin or something like that out there?
I don't know. I guess we'll kind of see what these folks do as we get down to the final teams. Especially we'll be spectating 2377 versus 60 GT. Whatever the meta is, those teams are going to be using it. On the topic of meta, look at this Wu Zetian down at the desert altar. That thing is holding on, baby.
Absolutely. And, we haven't talked about this yet, and it's almost as if the voice chats of these two teams have not talked about it yet. But Arc spawns in less than 4 minutes. And it's gonna be late here, and I wonder if that's the coordination, or maybe these commanders just do less damage, and so these fights are taking longer to resolve at these altars.
I think the fights just take longer to resolve. Actually, I think that might be it, because there's no way. Like, this is taking way too long. It's actually funny. Nobody's in the middle. Oh my gosh, it's 3 minutes till middle. They're all late. Everybody's late. That's hilarious. Look at, man. Charles Martel with Sun Tzu in the garrison. Oh no, it's still Wu Zetian. What a cool idea for a march though, right? Like, you're open fielding with Charles Sun Tzu, and it's like, we got a captain something, and works in the field and as a garrison captain combo. That'd be kind of legit.
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, a big rally in KVK2, a sort of a counter swarm or anti-swarm rally is Charles Alex, right? It's either Charles Alex or Alex Charles. I forget who's the primary, but you know, I guess the Sun Tzu is better for the garrison, right? But a multi-purpose Charles Martel with the multi-purpose marches here in the early game for sure.
Yeah, Charles Martel is like the real unsung hero of the early game, I feel. I mean, you think about it, he works as a garrison, he works in the field, he served as a rally in the early game. I don't know if he does necessarily still. And people still try to use him in the end game. Even I've done that for a city defense, and it's pretty legit on my restart account. So Charles Martel turns out to be just the commander that keeps on giving. And nobody's in the middle yet still. Oh, wow. 2 minutes. And our greatest warrior in the middle is T4s with a Belisarius. Let's go. They are kind of like dancing around the temple here. They're going to take this arc and try to run that thing back as fast as they can. I don't think they'll have the opportunity to yoink it, though. Like for free. Truly free. I think folks are going to get to the middle.
Yeah, you know, WP and Red, they got to the middle first, but the mobilization at this point between the two teams is pretty even, and if anything, I would say that 17C has the better mobilization coming from their bottom side. So the numbers middle are looking pretty even, but overall, I would say that WP and Red has had a slightly sharper start here. They've full capped all their buildings. They do have a 1,000 point lead, and they did get to mid before the enemy. So you know, good start for WP.
Yeah, they got a 1,000 point lead out of it. So you know, that's about what you'd hope for in an opener for a match. There's Dust Up, nice and early, mirrored. Both teams now with Dust Up. Okay, and. Yeah, no, they're starting to fight. Okay.
Still waiting for the big skills here.
Yeah.
Just a dusty fight so far.
Total Vision.
There's Total Vision from Red, or from Blue.
And then Bog Down.
And Bog Down, yep.
Between these two skills, which one do you think is better?
You know, I never used Bog Down in the past, but it feels to me like teams are valuing Bog Down better, and so I sort of go with the consensus on these sorts of things. If most top teams think Bog Down is better, then I would just have to go with Bog Down as well. But Total Vision is very easy to cast, right? And it's global. It affects all of your marches. Whereas Bog Down, you do have to place that bog correctly.
Yeah, I would think if the arc were actively being run, Bog Down is better. But they did get value here from the Bog Down, actually. So the slow value. That carrier's cooking. They are cooking. Yeah, no, Bog Down actually worked out really, really well there. In a way that I was about to say I would pick Total Vision. But they were able to slow the folks coming into the fight, which gave this carrier a clean way out. And they are flying out of that situation. And as soon as this thing gets halfway to the red side, it does look safer for them. I would say overall, though, Blue may still win this arc. So that yoink might have been good, but who wins the arc is going to be an important question here. I mean, doesn't matter if nobody else is coming into the middle for Red here to support. Blue could still get this thing, and they're turning it around now.
It was a huge grab by that double C, that full health double C to make a really big pull there. And it was important because this is a very close fight. And like you said, it seems like Blue might have a slight advantage here, slight numbers advantage, but that early pull, that initial pull, really equalized this fight where now, over a minute after this arc has been grabbed, this mid fight is still up for grabs, still very up for grabs, where Blue does have the numbers, but that distance towards the red side is a huge advantage for them. And boy, it's tough to call this one. Both teams have already grabbed this arc 2 or 3 times.
I love the advantage that 27 has claimed for itself. with the location, but I don't think they're capitalizing on it by bringing more to the middle. And it looks like they are pushing buildings, is why. The funny thing is, they could have had this arc. So if you're going to do a building strat, the start of the match is the time. This arc is worth the least. So strictly speaking, this is the time to push buildings. And they're contesting an altar, they're contesting a shrine. But this lack of commitment to the middle is going to cost them this arc. They don't have the bodies anymore, I think, to get the arc. The bodies are not on their way. They're just sort of trickling in. So do you think in this league that arc ambushes are a thing?
I don't see why they wouldn't be, right? I mean, first of all, you have Saladin, who gives a very good slow. Second of all, you have a lot of cav commanders that give march speed. You know, we're seeing Khans on the field who are very fast. We're seeing double Cs who are very fast. And so I don't think there's too much about the nature of the commanders in Season of Conquest that would make ambushes more viable there than they are here, right? Because you can slow these commanders, the carriers down. You can get to the arc site very quickly. So I think we can certainly see ambushes. Although in this case, you know, red team is not well positioned for an ambush because, as you said, they are pushing the lanes, and you know they're on the outside lane on the top side. They've taken the Shrine of Life on the top side, so you know their marches are allocated elsewhere. And all in all, kind of, in my opinion, a sophisticated decision here by WP to, like you said, sort of give up on middle. You know, just send their marches to the sides early. But because they got that early pull, they forced blue team 17C to allocate a ton of marches to middle, and that opened things up for WP to take some of their side buildings.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thought on this one. I feel like although they contested a couple buildings, they're not holding them. That's not really the building strat, right? Like, if you're gonna run building strat, you have to not just contest those buildings, you needed to hold them. They didn't do that. So I feel like they missed on arc and they missed on buildings here. So this is not probably the outcome they would have wanted. And my suspicion, although I don't know, but my suspicion is that because the DPS may be lower and fights theoretically take longer, that ambushes might actually be more difficult in this season.
Good point. Yeah.
And if that is true, and that's a big if, this arc carrier is probably home free, and there needs to be a higher priority on not letting the carrier get to here. Now, that said, they are pushing this desert altar. Do you think they might roll up on the carrier?
Well, a Valiant stand cast on this desert altar by blue, a very nice high-value Valiant stand that you can see is quite relevant here because this desert altar is under heavy pressure. The marches that were escorting the arc are coming here to help, but they are probably at half health. So, you know, this attack looks like it may actually work. They may flip this building. I don't think they will continue on to the arc, but still, you know, WP is disrupting a lot of what 17C wants to do. 17C is accomplishing their big goals of, like, you know, getting the arc and resecuring some of their buildings, but pretty disruptive play from WP, and they did manage to flip that desert altar with the Alex garrison right now. Although I saw Wu.
Yeah, I think there's enough reinforcements here from blue. I think you have a good read on this one, that I don't think they can roll up on that arc. And you love to see when a carrier's escorted, am I right?
Yeah, you know, sometimes these young teams, they have the fundamentals down more because you've actually been telling your players recently, like, here are the fundamentals of the game, here are the things you should do in arc, here are the things you should do in kvk, and that stuff is fresh in their minds, you know. So a little bit less complacency perhaps from 17C here. Looks like the arc carrier is going to get back to their cities very quickly. And, you know, Chisgul, the next decision here is, does 17C hold this arc, or do they return it very quickly?
Hard to say. I'd probably hold, though. Well, they're behind on score. Can they afford to hold?
Well, they can certainly afford to if they keep the buildings even for the next 15 minutes, and then it'll be essentially a tie game going into the second arc, and they can just try to win that second arc and be in a comfortable place points wise from there. The question becomes though, can they stabilize the building game? Because so far it has been a WP show on the sides. So
yeah. Like okay. I think they need to cap the arc. They did. Yeah, good. Good. I think they need arcs actually. I think they've got a couple problems here. I think maybe the 27 can outmuscle where they put focus. And I think that if they don't win with arcs, they might get into trouble. Like, we know that fights take longer too. So even this like building they're trying to take back, it's taking forever to get this shrine back. Which is unusual, by the way, for a team to hold a downfield shrine. So I think they've got to make moves here, and the moves has to come in the form of arcs. I think that was a good cap.
It was, let's think about the timing here of that cap, because they took back the desert altar, so those marches are in pretty good place with the desert altar because they can just sort of like walk home and refresh. At the Shrine of Life, though, like whatever marches they have trying to take back this Shrine of Life, which it's not going to be the marches that are here now, right? These marches that are here now are not going to succeed. But this next wave that goes to this Shrine of Life, first of all, they're going to have to send a lot of people. And second of all, those marches who accomplish this mission are not going to get to mid on time. Whereas these red health marches from 27 WP that have done so much work at the Shrine of Life, they will eventually get killed off, and they will be able to just go directly to mid and be there in perfect timing.
Nice. Just looking around, and other than this one structure,
well, Shrine of War on the bottom side, heavy pressure from WP there as well. Constantine in the garrison, and
Constantine garrison's pretty high up, huh?
Yes, some really solid garrisons in this early game for sure between Wu and Constantine.
I mean, we even see Constantine in the end game now, paired with Gorgo.
We do.
The bones are there to have a good garrison, and Wu Zetian is a fine combo. A little bit of anti-swarm from the Wu, staying power from the Constantine.
Yeah, they've held so far. The Constantine has held so far at this building. There wasn't a rally on it. It was just like a very heavy swarm. There may have been a rally at the start of this attack, but most of this attack has just been a very heavy swarm by WP. And that works fine for WP. They might not get the building. The building is like a bonus, but what they're doing is they're killing off their marches for perfect timing to go to mid. Whereas once again, 17C, they've got a bunch of marches coming from their cities, fighting off this attack. But those marches are going to be in a tough situation once this attack is over.
Mm-hmm.
So the 17C has just been on the back foot here on the sides, it feels like. They really haven't had any attacks. Like, when is the last time we've seen 17C attack a red building here? It's all been just defense and getting back their own buildings.
This is evening up. Okay, so I'm just thinking, what needs to happen here? If you're red, I feel like there needs to be a realization. And the realization is this building game is not getting done what it needs to get done, right? So if I'm on the 27 side, I think the conclusion I draw from the match so far is I need a prio going middle. If I'm blue, I feel like building defense is going okay. Would love to see it, go a little bit better. But also I need to prio going middle. Like, I think these teams are going to throw down in the middle, is what I'm trying to say. They should all be going there. With 4 minutes left, they're not doing it. Do you think these early game teams, really understand the timing of middle fights?
I think so. I think in this case, we're watching two very good, organized arc teams with a lot of experience. And like you said, all roads meet at the temple here, where red team has set up a pretty good timing for themselves to get to mid first because of their attacks, and that may give them the advantage they need mid, because they did lose that first mid fight. Whereas blue is going to get there a little bit late. That may or may not matter, but blue's sort of saying, well, we've won the first mid fight, and so all we have to do is repeat that this time. But you know what? There's a very heavy mobilization from red here. Very, very heavy mobilization.
Yeah. This signals to me that red knows. Blue, I'm not sure they actually realize the value of putting more focus to the middle early. They're hitting buildings here, which don't feel like this is the play, to be honest. I think they didn't take the same lesson I took from that first arc, which is like they won because they had more, and now they're not committing that same more to the middle. Maybe they think that red is going to go for buildings again, but that was not the conclusion I just drew for what red should do. So this is going to be, I think, a really strong opportunity for red to take this arc.
Yeah, and you know, we're seeing a failed attack on the Shrine of War. The top side from blue, they sent a big attack there, but it's not going to work. And now those marches are in really bad shape for mid. You always wonder what happens in a situation like this, where like you said, there was not the sense of urgency or not the sense of prioritization from 17C. But that could be like a macro strategic call by their leadership, but it also might just be that WP was disruptive. WP put them on the back foot, and they were out of sync. When you are constantly taking your own buildings back, you just get a little bit out of sync compared to when things are smooth. And so maybe they knew what they were supposed to do in 17C, but they were just out of sync, and some of their players decided to attack instead of go directly mid, and those sort of things can happen for sure.
Is definitely the situation here. I don't know why red didn't
go in
push. Yeah, I think they didn't realize how big their advantage was. Like for us, it's easy.
Yeah, they did not have vision until very recently. This ward that's right at the temple just went up. Blue had vision this whole time, and blue saw the heavy mobilization from red. But this red sentry was the last of the three sentries mid to appear.
It's kind of funny, but actually, all this extra time makes blue, I think, the more on time party, right? Like if red had been able to push that advantage, being there early would be worth more. Although. Oh man, early teams still kind of learning to all engage as one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I saw there too. It's by default a better engage here for red because they were just all standing there already.
Yep. So some major DPS lost by virtue of all those folks in blue. Still, honestly, getting to where the action is. There's to the death. Okay, so I assessed that. Hey, look, this is the big play for 27, and they also feel to the death. This is the big play, right? You only pop that if you're in.
8 points cast by both teams. Dust Up plus to the death for WP. Heaven's Grace plus total vision for 17C. Pretty fair fight in that sense. And boy, when you watch a mid fight like this, you realize how much slower the DPS is in the realm of Sobek, because you're waiting for the heavy sad faces, and they just haven't come yet. It's just a very slow trickle from both teams, even to this point.
Yeah.
As red team grabs the arc and pulls it their way.
There goes the arc, and great grabs by red, by the way. Bringing that arc to their side is a huge W for them, especially because you have some marches on their way, and in the very least, these blue marches on their way are going to have to go a little bit further. But the other thing is that I think to the death ends up being better in this situation in early game arcs, because your marches that gain to the death are less likely to get popped.
Maybe. That's interesting. And also just on a relative sense, that damage from to the buff to the death is more, it's more of your total stats at this point in the game. I guess we would need to be math wizards to understand how that relates to Heaven's Grace, and like how does is the heal on Heaven's Grace also scaling in the same way as to the death?
The heal also scales. I mean, it scales based off of the number of troops you have remaining, and you should have more troops remaining if the combat's going slower, right?
Right.
I don't know. They're both good skills. The arc keeps creeping.
Yeah, this looks like a win for very big win, super important win for WP here in the mid. A win mid that they have been setting up for the last 10 minutes or so with very good arc play, or very good side play and very good timing, and some great pulls, right? Like you said, like great pulls by WP to give themselves the advantage on these mid fights. And execution, good execution after good execution after good execution, it eventually leads to having a nice advantage in this match where they now have the arc, they have the points lead, and they can control the tempo from here.
Very cool to see. This match still has a lot left in it. So what happens from here? If they hold this arc for the full 13 minutes, it doesn't matter. There's still going to be another arc brawl, right?
Yep.
And the weirdness, though, is that maybe they hold it anyways. Because if it takes this long to fight in middle, then it's possible they could delay the next arc, even if they don't win it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's a great point, and the math works out very well for WP, right? It's like there might be 12 to 13 minutes left when they return this thing. Arc takes 8 minutes to spawn. That leaves you 5 minutes to return this third arc. I think you can bog people down mid long enough to not let a third arc get returned, if that's what you want to do for WP. Although on the topic of ambushes, this ambush, they're trying to ambush the arc carrier now. Now they're trying to ambush the arc carrier, but look at how many marches are actually just going mid. Instead of doing the angled ambush, a lot of those marches from the blue team bottom side are just walking straight through mid again. And so this ambush doesn't seem perfectly executed here by 17C.
Yeah, I agree. You're definitely right that all these folks that have come through middle should have come through bottom. And that would have, it doesn't seem like much, but it could be as much as like a 30-second penalty. And also the attack vector is not amazing, right? Like, which way the arc carrier is going to go. But here's the thing.
Yeah,
I think their ambush is working.
At least the marches that went mid got a clean approach. Right?
I think this might work, actually. I think they stalled long enough that the folks that go middle in, older realm, I don't think that would work, but they've stalled long enough that I think they're going to actually get a proper ambush going here.
It's still tough. Look at this red wall. Look at this red wall that's ambushing them, and red is very keen on these ambushes. We saw the actual ambushers, the ambushers coming from the bottom side. We saw them getting picked up by a couple of players on red. Chiel here from WP was picking up these marches immediately as they were walking. And so red is very keen to just like hit the marches that are walking towards the arc, get that free value as they're walking there. And so it just becomes very tough for blue, even though they tried really hard. And that's worth noting that they allocated a lot of marches to this ambush. It's still just really, really hard to get this arc.
How do you feel about the pathing on this carrier? I mean, that double C is cruising. They can't seem to knock that thing down. 5,000, 2,000, arcs down. So the carrier, I feel, did a pretty good job there in taking the arc away from the desert altar and away from the outpost, but not like almost as squarely in the middle as you could go from all buildings when it fell down there, which is smart. Like you don't want to bring it towards where the enemy is, and they are all over there. Those folks still need to, I think, just run past. Like a lot of these folks are engaging in a fight here. They just need to run past. Like if they all went straight down to the obelisk, this could work. This carrier, where are they going? Oh no.
I think they gave up.
We got a new carrier here that does not share my sentiment for pathing. They are helping blue. Oh, there we go. They changed course. They were helping blue there, bringing it back toward the desert altar. I think once they get close to these cities, though, red has really locked this thing in. I don't know. I mean, we could see one of the most amazing arc caps of all time if they take the obelisk and score it there, but now we're entering the realm
strategy
of
possible. We haven't seen the 6 skill from either team, but neither
now
team
we're
has used
entering
master
the
strategy
realm
in the past.
of real long shot plays, right? Once you're among these cities, a lot has to go wrong for this arc, the Twitch sides, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a full Saladin right on his heels here, so you know.
I think he's gonna score it.
You want it to be the full Saladin.
Is he gonna cap it? Uh-oh.
That's what you want here, right? If you're blue, you want this pressure to like cause the carrier to make a hasty decision and return this arc quickly.
100%.
That's almost the most you can hope for. If you're 17C right now, the most you can hope for is to force WP into making a bad decision here. But that's a bit of hopium for sure.
Hopium.
Actually, I mean, I don't know.
I think they might have to cap it.
He's very low. Like, he's very, very low health at this point. So, I mean...
They capped it. Yeah. They're like, you know, too much pressure. I do feel like all these folks that are up here could have rolled in on the carrier, but then the carrier definitely just caps it. So they get the opportunity.
They get what they wanted. Yeah, they accomplished enough there. I mean, that's really like getting more than you can expect out of that situation. Just to get the return is really more than blue could have expected.
They get another opportunity. They get another opportunity, which is pretty cool. So here we are, 18,800 to 22,700. If you are in red, you need to hold or take the arc, right?
Yeah. Well, they need to get their motor running right now because they were so focused on that arc that they just had a bunch of ineffective marches that were just following the arc home, which they had to do. They had to do that, but they just had to get the motor running here because they have lost a significant part of this map. They've lost their desert altar. The occupation score is basically even, slight advantage for blue. So red just needs to get back on the sides and do what they were doing earlier, but they're doing it from a different position. They had so much momentum on the sides for like a really long time that it's a bit different now. It's a bit different.
There is.
I mean, the Sky Altar attack here is just not going to work for red. Not even close. They're trying to take back their desert altar on that same bottom side, but there were a lot of blue marches there, and even that is a little bit iffy. So, you know, 17C, we've seen them have pretty good field, and now that they have a bit of control of the map, they're holding. You know, they're holding right now. So this thing is still up for grabs, really. 4,000 points on the last arc is the difference in the match.
So 27, they need to either hold or take the final arc. And then at this point, 17C must take the final arc to win. This is where things get weird when a team must do something. A predictable enemy is a beatable enemy. So I think 27 is actually well postured to take this thing. It could go either way. But when you know what your enemy must do, that's a pretty big advantage.
Are you thinking a side play by 27 WP here at the end?
They could, couldn't they?
They sack the final arc and just take a bunch of side buildings and win that way.
It'd be risky, but they could do it. They have multiple win conditions. I don't think they'll take it though. I think 27 goes middle at the end. Honestly, I think they just run it back.
I mean, that's kind of putting the game on winning the third mid, though. I mean, gathering is a factor. We have to consider gatherers. It looked to me as this match has gone on that 17C did a little bit of gathering. Haven't seen many gatherers from red team though. So I don't know, Chiz. I think this is like a pretty good spot to actually just sack the last mid and focus on the sides. Because you win anyway. If you win the sides, then you just win anyway.
if they do that, they have to win sides though. Like they have to. Like, and not by a little, but they really need to like take the buildings and hold them for a bit. If they do that and they assume their provisioning is even, then they get it. I think that most teams just end up going middle though. I do see the value of the building strat. And like I said, a predictable team is a beatable team. So it is possible they can be very unpredictable, rush the buildings, because they know blue has to commit to mid. They have to. There's no option for blue but to leave their buildings at borderline empty and commit to middle and hope they win it. But if they leave their buildings empty, then red can go in and sweep the outsides. Like this actually is the fun of the strategy aspect in Ark of Osiris, don't you think?
It is, and you know what's fun here is that we actually don't know yet what red's going to do. We still don't know. There's 3 minutes before the arc spawns, and we still don't quite know what red's going to do. They're attacking the Shrine of War on the bottom side, which says like, oh, maybe we're going to sack mid. But from the top side, they're heavily mobilizing mid, you know, and so it really comes down to like, there's been a long attack on the blue team's desert altar on the top side. Blue team is holding the desert altar. But it comes down to like, are those marches going to go mid, or are they going to go back to the sides and try to take this desert altar again? It's a little bit of a mixed message from WP here, honestly. Like they're attacking the Shrine of War, and it's like those marches are screwed for mid. But then they have a bunch of marches going mid as well, so it's not a full commit from WP here, but it looks like they're going mid. It looks like they're going mid.
It's weird. Like you can't actually leave mid empty. Like if you leave mid completely empty, then the opposing team just walks away, right? So even if you're gonna full press buildings, like you still have to have something in the middle to prevent the opposing team from just taking their mid force and hitting your buildings, for example.
Yeah, I think what WP did here is they did a repeat of the second mid fight, which is that they attacked the enemy's buildings and they therefore tried to stall them out for mid, right? Like they stalled out these marches at the blue team desert altar on the top side to where they're low health and they're just not going to get to mid on time. And their hope, WP's hope, is that their refreshed marches will get to mid on time. And it's kind of working. I mean, it's kind of working. The mobilization from the top side for blue is like not amazing here.
No,
and
they
some of their marches are like not fresh, I think.
Well, they keep doing these
close.
kind of sloppy engages as well, and I mean that respectfully, but like when your team starts hitting their team, it should be a wave of everyone striking all at the same time, as opposed to like somebody's like, oh, hold on, I gotta go get my sword from the armory. See you in 30 minutes. You know, like the marches should all hit at the same time. And let's see if they figure out how to get that clean engage. But you just see even the way they're standing, it's like they're not even set up to do that at all.
They're nervous, man. They are nervous. Both teams are nervous. Both teams are itching here. This is a huge fight. This is a absolutely huge fight right here.
Yeah, they know this decides it.
Probably. WP has a 4K lead though, so you know.
They do, but they don't have a huge building advantage, really.
Right.
They like have to get this. They have to at least stall this. So this fight kind of ends up being the thing. I think what we're going to see here is Heaven's Grace Bog Down Dust Up from 27. And we see probably To the Death Total Vision from 17. That's my suspicion.
Yeah, you know, the points are really iffy here, right? Like how many they both used energetic in the mid period. Do they have enough points to get off all the skills that they want to get off here? As the assist engage, it's underway.
There's Dust Up and Total Vision.
Yep, 17C casting their skills.
Heaven's Grace
Early here. So Heaven's Grace for WP. Heaven's Grace plus Dust Up for WP. Only Total Vision for 17C. only total vision. So they only had enough points for one skill on blue team. And so that's a pretty big deal right there.
Yeah,
Red team, WP could get more skills off here.
I feel like
because it
they
was just
incorrectly used energetic leading up to this fight. If they didn't have the points to do more, right? Like the only reason you'd pop energetic would be if you were at 10 points. You're like, hold up. They just pop energetic. You're like, are doing something that gives you some economy. There's dust up from 17.
Yep, there's the late dust up from 17C. So at least they got it down. At least they got it down, and they pulled the arc. 17C here has finally pulled the arc their way at the beginning of one of these fights, and now we watch this slow dance. You know, it's not the fast dance that we're familiar with, Chiz. This is the slow dance of the Sobek mid.
There's the bog down. I mean, I am not sure who's gonna win. I keep trying to assess it. Blue's got a lot here, and they're marching it.
Blue's looking good.
The bog down here is really nice, though. Very, very good play from 27. They were very patient with that bog down, which I probably would not have been, because the bog down was also going to afford them, I think it's a, 30% defense reduction? I would have probably cast that sooner, quite frankly.
They
But
probably
maybe
didn't have the points. You know, they probably just didn't have the points.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, I mean, red team did, get better value from skills. They cast an entire extra skill mid here. That bog down was just free. That bog down was extra for them. And that's a nice advantage, but blue getting this arc on their side the whole time, along with just like the natural advantage we're sort of seeing from 17C, it just seems like they hit a little bit harder. Better gear, more, maxed legendary gear on these Khans and Alexes and Richards in the middle here.
It's so hard to say. Like, I zoom in, I zoom out. I think blue's winning. I see a lot of red sad face here.
Yeah, it's the sad faces that I'm sort of looking at. It's like, there's way more red sad faces, so I assume they're losing.
Wow, so this... Oh, okay, hold up. 10 minutes left in the match. Because red capped the arc so fast, the option to stall this arc is unlikely to be successful.
Yeah, not going to work. And we're seeing red marches come back mid. Like, look at the top side for red and all the marches that are coming back mid to a mid that is lost. This arc is lost. If
You think
are
so?
Red team,
You think it's already decided?
yes, this arc is over. It's over. Why are these marches going mid? They should be taking the side buildings. They have a
I don't know,
14
man.
point lead.
I don't know if it's over. You think it's over?
All right,
I don't-
you're right.
it's like-
it's not over. It's not over because like they're fresh and they're coming back.
Yeah, I don't know,
So,
man. Like,
yeah,
it's
but
a whole
still
other
tough.
animal here in this realm. Like,
Yeah. And they're coming back in such force, right? Like they're coming back in such. All right, you're right. It's not over. It's definitely not over because red's coming back so heavy here.
I mean, it's
they're
close.
fresh.
It is close to over, but it's not actually, and that's the weirdness of it. Like, they can't move this arc yet, and because they can't
Why
move
not
the
take
arc.
the sides? Why not just
Look
go
at
to
this.
the desert altar?
Dude, this
They're
guy's out
bringing
of troops. Imagine being an Arc League and you got to bring your T1 Siege to the mid fight with an Alexander the Great. Oh my
just
god!
hit the heal button. Just hit the heal button, buddy.
I don't know, man. I guess they didn't want to heal. Oh man, impulse. Good grab on the arc, getting good
Yeah,
distance. Double
great
C.
run. Great
There.
run here.
This is a big carry happening right now. This is where you can say, okay, hold up. 17C is postured to, or has even won this mid fight, because now they're cruising.
Yep. And WP is redirecting. On the top side here, WP, the marches that were headed mid, they have redirected now, and they are headed to that 17C desert altar. Maybe they want to ambush the arc, but I think more likely they're just like, hey, we need to take some of these buildings and we need to secure this win. We lost the second arc, but we can just win some buildings, send some gatherers out there, and we can just win the match that way.
I wonder how much these blue marches still look pretty healthy, actually. Like, some of these are cooked, but some of them are healthy and refreshed. So I think this carrier is likely to be safe. And this goes back to what you were describing earlier. Like, isn't the correct strategy to just go for buildings because they only need a small amount of building advantage to secure a win, whereas it's the binary yes or no must get the arc to win in that situation. And I think what would we attribute that loss to in the middle, given that Red even had more points to deploy, didn't they?
They had a full bog down. They had an earlier dust up, like their dust up was on time, and they got the bog down. And I think part of the reason that happened is because 17C has been casting Valiant Stand on the sides. And as we're looking at this Desert Altar here with the Constantine Garrison, Red cast Teardown on the attack, and then 17C responded with a very good Valiant Stand. They've gotten value for these Valiant Stands on the sides to hold some of these buildings, but because they've been using Valiant Stand on the sides, they did not have the right amount of skill points for that mid-fight, but they won it anyway. So it's kind of a nice allocation by 17C here. They're using the points where they need to, and they're still winning 2 out of 3 arcs. Although this arc carrier is going into a danger zone here.
Wait, really? Wait a minute. No way. Oh my gosh. The arc carrier's going the wrong way.
Astolfo OL has different ideas about where this arc needs to get returned.
No, he's controlling multiple marches at a time, and they have incorrectly sent their march with the rest of their stuff. I think. A lot of blue presence here. Oh yeah. They must have been screaming in voice, "You're running the arc the wrong way! Turn around! Turn around!" I mean, you know that voice chat is screaming at the guy for going the wrong way there. And looks like they do regain control of the steering wheel here. They were headed for a cliff. It was going to be a disaster. I think they figured it out before they just, I don't know, asleep at the wheel, letting the GPS tell you to turn right when there's no road there, you know? But they figured it out. They're sorted out. They're going the right way now.
You know, it's a very hectic time for 17C because they have the arc, but they're seeing the game slip away from their grasp anyway. Occupation score, a 260 points per minute lead for WP here. They have a building on both sides. They have a blue building on both sides right now, and so 17C is just. They're in a tough spot. They're in a very tough spot. Their marches are all low health because they're still fighting from that. They're still not back from the mid fight, and you know the arc carrier is sort of like a mirror of everything that's going on with 17C right now.
17C has done a pretty good job overall, but they lost Sky and Shrine. That's a huge problem. Like when they were
the Shrine of Life has been a problem on the top side. Like a big problem.
They were up points per minute. Like literally 60 seconds ago, Blue was up points per minute. And I turn around and to your point, now that's not the case. That's an issue. Only 4 minutes left though. Oh, they scored the arc. Oh my gosh. 300 point game, 400 point game. Oh wow. Okay.
You know, there's been very little gathering. I'm gonna say right now, unless I'm don't know how to read a map, there has not been much gathering in this game. So it's hard for me to. I don't think there was a full-time gatherer out for 17C.
Doesn't that seem like
very hard to come
gathering
back.
will be better in this league?
Gathering's good everywhere. I don't know why teams aren't gathering. You can get 3-4K points per match if you have a couple gatherers. I mean, that's worth an entire arc.
But especially in this realm, right? Where, I don't know, most people are just using not legendary gathering gear anyways, right? Like, the point I'm trying to make is that in a world in which it is more difficult to have more maxed out legendaries, gathering seems even more valuable as a choice because you're not sacrificing a maxed out legendary combo with full legendary equipment and armaments. Like, you're sacrificing something much weaker to get those gathering points. Do you see what I mean?
I do see what you mean. I think there's certainly merit to that. I think what happened in this match is that, we saw like a lot of buildings, just they felt really close, right? There was all these building fights where it's like both teams had, 8 to 10 marches out in the field. The garrison would be at like yellow or red health, and it was like, are they going to win this? Is this offense going to win, or is this defense going to hold? And it always just seemed like kind of like tenuous for both sides. And so they just like decided we have to allocate everybody to fighting. We can't allocate anyone to gathering.
Did you notice the 1,000-point jump?
Oh, from from WP.
Looks like they were provisioning.
Well, I mean, yeah, 450 gathering points. It's enough to beat 17C's effort at this point. You know, at this point, 450.
That's a lot of points right now.
That's enough. It's a big deal for this match for sure, right? It's a big deal.
That came out of nowhere. I think they must have like
somebody.
They just capped those points because it was like a 400-point game, and then boom, they shot up. Oh wow, 2 minutes left. Is there an answer from Blue for provisions? There could be.
There could be. You know, obviously I missed the semi-gatherer for WP, so it's certainly possible that 17C has somebody out here in the fog that your commentator can't even see. But we've got about 90 seconds to find out, because I don't think they're going to get enough buildings here. I mean, the map is majority red at this point. And so for 17C, it really comes down to the gatherers.
27 really cooked those buildings at the end. Wow. They flip another building over. This was a close one, but I think 27's going to get it unless the provisions really change the calculus. And I don't think it will, because you looked around and you didn't see many provisioners at all.
No. I mean, I'm prepared to be surprised here, but I didn't see too many gathering icons during this match. So
now, if I remember correctly, you said 27 was the underdog, but you thought they would win. Is that right?
That's true. I didn't bet the Oryx though. You know, it's like, man, it hurts, Chiz. It hurts. It hurts.
Gotta put your money where your mouth is, broski.
You know, I did the research after the betting window had closed. Unfortunately, we can't bet all the way up to the match in Osiris League. Maybe that's the improvement they need to make for season number 9.
You got to make last-minute bets here.
I mean, how often do you just forget? I forget to bet all the time. So if I could bet like right before the match, that would be very convenient.
That would be convenient. With 15 seconds left, 10 seconds left. This might be all she wrote.
Yeah, 2K point lead. So they need the magic gatherer here in the final 5 seconds.
Not happening. Although there could be a few more seconds of gameplay here. Clock is a little bit out of sync with the in-game action. But I think it is likely to be a victory for the team in red. That's 27. WP World Players.
Yeah, really nice win for WP. I really liked how they played here. They not only won the sides and sort of got points from winning the sides, but they used that side play to give themselves a better chance to win mid. And they did win that second arc, and that was like a really big deal. That was the difference in the match. You know, when you're a mid-focused team like 17C, when you lose just one arc, that can screw up the entire match for you.
Sure can. 3-arc game. One of the arcs going the other way is a difference maker. And on my screen, the match is still going. So we're a little bit out of sync on this timer.
Almost a 3K lead at this point. So I think we can safely say that the WP is going to take this thing, because the Gatherer would certainly return by now.
There it is.
There it is. Yep.
27 WP with the W. Congratulations, World Players. They'll be advancing to the next stage. Great gameplay from both teams. If you enjoyed the stream, throw a like on here. Consider subscribing, because we'll be back in less than an hour for 2377 versus 60 GT. That promises to be a finals quality match, but we're only in the semifinals. So smash subscribe. If you want to check out our channels as commentators and casters, links are down below. But we'll be casting on the official channel right here. So again, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in less than an hour. Till then, you have fun smashing the kingdom. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you real soon.